Hey, this is Jake from GoCode. Today I'll be demonstrating the install of this 11-gallon water tank. This tank installs under the slider step on a Mercedes Sprinter, and it's a fantastic tank if you really don't need much water and you want to prioritize the space in the van. Let's get after it. Now that we're under the van, the first thing I'm going to do is dry fit the tank into place and look at these factory holes here and decide which ones I want to use for the straps. It's a little bit of a tight area to work in. But I'll get the tank up and I'll slide it as far forward as I need to. You see here we have the exhaust for our heater. I want to stay off that at least an inch just to be sure of the heat not affecting the tank. Now I can look and decide on the holes that I want to use, and I'll pick the two towards the ends. Happy with that. I'll let the tank back down. Grab a strap and a marker. And with the tank down, line up your tall side over the factory hole you've chosen. Get it pretty square. We'll go ahead and mark this outside hole and then do the same thing in the rear. Now with their holes marked, we can move a little bit closer to the edge and start working this way. First thing I'll do is take my punch and hit on the center of my mark. Just a few times. It makes a little divot, allows this 1/8 inch drill bit to ride somewhere and not walk around. Grab that drill. Kind of a noisy process. Now that I have my initial hole made, I like to clean out some of this undercoating. That allows the riv nut to fully seat and get a good grab. And you know, it's not necessary to do, but it makes me feel better about the install. With that cleaned away, I'm going to switch to the next drill bit, start to move up in size. I'm going to use a stepper bit here. It's a little bit easier than jumping up to the 1/2 inch size. Now with the holes drilled, I'm going to use some primer on there. Anytime that you do something resulting in exposed metal, you always want to hit it with some kind of a rust inhibitor or primer. Just as it sounds, it will inhibit the rust. Really get all around in there. And I'll go ahead and do the other side and then get on to installing the riv nuts. The hole we drilled is primed. Next I'm going to install the riv nut. When I thread onto here, I don't want to pull all the way to the collar, and I leave a little bit of the riv nut backed off. That just allows ample room for compression without getting over tight. If you tighten this riv nut on the tool too far, it's going to strip those threads right out, and you're going to have to drill out the rib nut and try again. One. Now I'm going to do my holes that are back here. All right, the rib nuts are installed. It's time to move on to installing the tank. Just kind of use my own body as a way to prop up the tank for now. You can also use a car jack. It works much better. And when you install these bolts, we provide a small tube of Loctite. Always use that Loctite to hold the bolts into place. That's going to help jam up the threads and lock the bolt into position. We're only temporarily installing this tank, so I'll be taking these bolts back out. So all the bolts started, go ahead and grab your ratchet, get everything tightened down. $11-gallon tank installed. Boxmas Prime out.